there, welcome to our channel. I'm Vic.
I'm Nick.
And we're NV Board Gaming, and today we're looking at Tiletum. This is a game designed by Daniele Tascini and Simone Luciani, and it is published by Board and Dice. It is for 1 to 4 players, and Nick is going to give a brief overview of how you play, and then we're going to give our reviews.
Hello everyone, welcome to the table. Set up for a 2-player game of the game Tiletum. So we have here our starting point here in the city. In this game, first thing we're going to do, I'm not going to explain the theme because I really don't even know the theme. You're going to roll these dice, so 8 for a 2-player game, and you're going to designate them to their spots on the wheel. Very first thing we're going to do. And then we are going to reveal this first one in the King's Order. So since we're already set up, we're just going to jump into gameplay. So that says we're going to move down on the King's Order. Both of us are going to move to the -1 spot. We start at 10 victory points, so we could potentially lose victory points based on this. So to play the game, you're going to play it over 4 rounds, shown here. 4 rounds. And we are going to have 3 actions each round. However, it is more involved. Each action will get more involved as the game progresses. So on your turn, you're going to draft one of these dice. Now the dice signify, the pips signify how many of a resource you're going to get. And the action points are listed here in the parentheses. So if I take this, I'm going to get this resource, which in this case is food. If I were to take this 3 food and 4 action points on this wagon. So I would take this dice and move it over to my player board, collect my 3 food, and get 4 actions here. And you're going to do this back and forth 3 times. So let's explain the actions. So if I were to do that, I would have a wagon action. The wagon correlates with yep, you guessed it, this wagon. So I could, on my action, I have 3 action points, I could move my wagon to an adjacent spot, here or here. I can do that 3 times and be done. Or if I were at a spot, let's say I move to Paris, that's 1 action. I could take this token, since I'm here, it will go on my player board. And I have 4 of these little storehouses, so I could store that. This would give me action points on this architect action. I could also build a house. If I have a house in a 4-player game, this spot would be allotted to me. However, it's not there. So here, I could build in Bordeaux. If I were here, I can throw a building on there. I start the game with 2 buildings unlocked, and I can unlock future buildings by filling out these buildings with people. So those are the 3 actions I can do with the wagon. The architect over here is similar. You can just do the same things, except instead of houses, building houses like this, you're going to build these pillar-looking things. Now, what that lets you do, and I'll explain what the wagon, what the houses let you do. What these let you do, and these go in the circles here, these let you sell brick for victory points. You'll claim the top building as well, and these descend. So I would get 12 points if I spend 5 brick, 9 plus 3, and I would collect this. And I would just move up my victory points as I got it. So that's what pillars do. They let you do that as an anytime action. However, houses, if I were to have a house there, that would let me do events. So if I had an event, and there is an event, there is not an event, but the events are in these cities. So we have those marked on the board. So I know the second one is going to be here. If I had a house, I could participate in the event that is happening in that city in round 2. Those cities, and I'll explain that phase that comes after the actions, give you victory points for doing certain things. That's the difference between the pillars and the cities. Sorry, the pillars and the towns. Okay, so these 2 are very similar, except one does pillars, one does buildings, but they do everything else the same. Also, if you're the first person to take one of these dice, you also have this bonus tile that you collect right away and goes on your player board. I'll explain seals in a moment. Okay, next one here, we have citizens here. That would be picking the action. The action points are listed right here. You're going to take one of these folks, and these will replenish immediately. You're going to spend as much as you want, put them on your board, and if you would like, you can assign them. This is how much they cost based on the row that you put them on. If you fill out any, that's how you unlock these here, these buildings. If you fill them out. Also, you can spend food to put seals out. Remember where I showed you seals? If you have seals over here in your storehouse or you collect them, you can spend food to do abilities here. If you have everything full, the seal and the people, then you will unlock these bonus actions that are right here, and you will slot them where they belong. Now, where they belong is, it actually shows at the bottom right what actions they belong in. So that's, again, if you fill out any of these and you have a seal, you unlock that, which gives you a bonus on the ability shown from which the person you filled out the row was. Now, rules about putting these people out. You have to have the same person in the same house. You cannot have the same person in a different house. They cannot make another appearance in any of these other houses. Okay? That is that. Next, we have this here. So these are like contracts. Think of them. These are the action points you spend. You collect these. You can then turn in an anytime action. You can turn in what resource on this contract and get this reward. They usually have victory points, and they'll sometimes have an action that you can do. So you would collect that, put it in your storehouse, and then as an anytime action, you can spend those resources pictured to do an action, to get that reward. Also, you have an option of trading goods. You trade a goods +1. So if you were to spend 2 action points here, you could, for instance, trade 2 items for 3 of another item. So it's not +1 in every single item. It's +1 as a total. If you spend 4 actions there, you get 5 things, for instance. Okay? That is an action. The wild here, you can go ahead and do any of these actions. However, you cannot pick and choose different ones. You're going to pick exactly one. I don't know. Oh, I just spilled one of my resource bags. So you'll have to use all of those actions that you pick. In this case, 6. All 6 on one of these. And this one is very simple. It's the simplest one in the game. Now you notice there is no die here, but you can spend 2 gold to manipulate a die ±1. However, 6 and 1 does not roll over. So this was where a 2 would be. So you could spend 2 coins to make this a 2. And if you were to do that, you would get 5 action points. So 5 would get you a 5 movement on this. And of course, if you're the first one, you always get that. That's all that does. Once everyone has done their 3 actions for the round, the first thing we're going to look at is this track right here. Whoever has, let's say this situation right here. This is how many points they're going to get. So a +1 and a -3 here for green. The winner, whoever is ahead, is going to take this. They earn that. It's going to go to their board. At the end of the game, at the last round, there's not going to be one out here. You're just going to get 4 victory points. And note after all players have had an action, these are going to keep flipping. So actually, you're going to keep dropping. So if this was a situation, then that would be this turn order would be pink and then green. I don't have the pink one out here for some reason, but this would slide down the second player. And the pink would be in first because they have the lead. They do not drop. However, everyone that's below 0 would move to 0. Okay, and the last thing you do is the event. So at the end of the first round, the event is 6 points, 2 + 4, 6 points for every one of those buildings you've claimed. So if you, like I said, when you did that example where you spend 5 brick, I would get 3 + 9. Okay, I would have that 12 points. But this one stays with me. I put it here, and then all of them that I've collected in that first round, I would get 6 points for each one. You cannot collect more than one of the same type of buildings. So once you collect that one, you got to move along and try to dig at these different buildings. You're going to play 4 rounds. You're going to do the end game scoring. That shows you if you fill out all these buildings. You're going to get, if you have 3, 5 points, 4, 10 points, and so on. You're also going to multiply the number of buildings you have by the number of pillars you have to get the victory points. And for every 4 resources, you're going to get 1 victory point. And that is how you play. The gist of it, okay? Vic and I are going to come back up top and tell you what we think of the game.
All right, and we are back. Thank you, Nick, for another great overview. This is another T game, as they call them in the T series for us. I know that there's a trend in naming games after with a T with these designers.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
Here's another one.
Yes.
We'll start with the game flow. How does it flow, Nick? As smooth as us introing this video, or?
So I think it flows well at the beginning. It's one of those games again that flows well at the beginning that it kind of bogs down a lot later in the game because different things. That's why they give you the action tokens. You start realizing like what at the beginning you're like, why do we have these action tokens? We don't need
Yeah.
them in round one, round two, but round three, round four, you're like, okay, I get it because you're stopping your turns and you're spending things that are in your storehouse to do different actions, and then you're coming back to your turn and you're perfectly legal. That's why there's action tokens here, so you don't forget how many actions you've done in your main action. But man, that can get a little tedious. So game flow, I feel, is a negative. It doesn't flow smooth. It feels like a bumpy ride, and you can feel every bit of that bumpy ride.
Right, I think so, especially when you think of it as a game of all these different areas. Like even when we were first learning it on the Dice Tower cruise, and I looked at it and I go, okay, you go over there and you're doing this, and then over here you're going to do this, and so if you are doing something that has effects that allow you to do other things. So, for example, if you put somebody out into a house and you've got one of those population, you do that action with the population, and you then are able to move away again. So you need to stop and then consider that, then look to where the scoring is going to be, and so there's a lot, yeah, that definitely bogs down the game in its flow. Downtime is pretty heavy when you're waiting on other people to go and finish all those crazy things they're up to.
Downtime's high.
Yeah, definitely think it is it's high on downtime.
Especially in the third and fourth round for the same reasons.
Yeah. Mechanics of the game. So this is a game that has dice in it, and the dice are the however many the pips are showing of that resource, the color of the dice, it's going to match up with the resource. So you'll get that many when you pick up that dice. So interestingly, that is one of the foundations of the game is using dice. I guess it's a dice placement.
Dice drafting,
Dice
for sure.
drafting, yeah.
Yep. I like it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the mechanics are awesome. I love the dice draft in this game. Getting resources and actions, deciding what's more important to you, which dice is more important, what color of the dice is more important, what actions are most important, what tiles are going to give you if you go there. Do it. Is it worth it to go to a different spot? That would be one that you don't want to go to, so you can get that bonus tile. There's so many things you want to do in this game and you can't, just like other games in this series. There's so much you want to do, but you don't have enough time to do all of them. So you have to focus on what's the most important to you.
Figure out a streamline. And not all of the dice are going to come out. So there's going to be part where there's going to be some dice left behind that you may, or when you roll them, the value is simply not there. Mm-hmm. So you need to find ways to make those dice how you want them to be, or modify the dice. So that's always fun. And we always enjoy games where we are not just at the mercy of a dice roll, that there are some mitigation factors. So that's always a fun mechanic for us.
Which brings us to randomness.
Randomness of dice. So yes, some randomness when it comes to which dice are pulled out of the bag, as some remain behind each round that you pull out the dice. What is going to score, and if you're able to get the resources you need based on there's a good conversion with the gold that you can spend in lieu of some resources. So there's ways around that, mm-hmm. But just definitely some randomness to it because of the way that what dice do to games.
But. Yeah, I agree. There's randomness here. What dice are going to come out? I need this resource. Oh, you took that one. You took the only food out of there, right. And the rest of them must be sitting in that bag. So there's randomness. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's something, like you said, you can do the 2-to-1 conversion, but that adds up quick.
Oh, I know. I lost all my money.
Spending 6 gold to get 3 resources, that adds up.
Yeah, I was really reckless, and then suddenly I had no money, and I was sweating. I'm like, how am I going to get this? And then hoping someone doesn't take it.
The best thing I'll say about this category is that the game provides you with so many ways around different things that you feel like maybe you're getting unlucky, or how am I going to accomplish something? Well, the game tries its best to give you ways around things all the time, everywhere you look. If you think hard enough, you might be able to accomplish it. You might not see it right away.
Yeah.
But in spades, it does it. Now, there's going to be some spots where it just doesn't happen. You know, like you tried everything you could, you couldn't get it to happen. But a lot of the time, you're going to notice that I was able to do it. If I thought hard enough, what my steps were, I could accomplish what I wanted to accomplish. And I didn't think there was any hope.
Yeah, and I love that. I like that when you have outs.
It's very good.
Replayability. What do you think?
Strong, yeah. There's going to be events in different towns every single time. You're going to go in different ways when you want to try to win this game. There's so many different things and the ways you're going to play this game that I feel like the replayability is through the roof on this for a Euro. I think it's super high.
Yeah, it's nice when you're moving on your wagon or your architect on the map that every time we play, we're not going the same way.
Yeah.
Because sometimes when we're playing a game, I mean, Concordia, I tend to go the same way sometimes, or um, the Trajan, I like to try to send them, certain direction. Well, that changes too, but based on the different values. But this game, when I knew right away that it had a high replayability, when I thought about the different paths to victory, all the different areas, because you're not gonna do everything. You're not gonna fill your whole house up and then also have all the pillars out, and you're just not going to be
Yeah.
doing that. You're going to have to find some way to win a path to victory that you can change up every time you play.
Absolutely. If you're more familiar with the game, you know what's coming at the end. All the like multiplying houses and pillars. Maybe you're losing the whole game, but you focus on this huge end game score, and maybe you came right back. I feel like there's tons of ways to play the game, and that's going to lend itself to replayability.
Yep. And scalability. So we played this at 2 and we played it at 4. What did you think?
I think this one's a good. I think it's solid. Like I'll say though, the downtime is there.
Yeah.
Yes, it scales pretty well, but you got to be okay with some downtime, especially in later rounds.
I think that this game we were playing on the Dice Tower cruise and I was falling asleep.
Yeah.
This was the game that I think I got sleepy waiting on people. And then I'd have to be like awoken. It's your turn, like because I was, but that was a little different. I was tired that I don't know if something was wrong with me.
So what do you think? What do you think? Scalability is not that good.
I'm always, I like it too. But like there was an extra kind of challenge there of having an extra person to consume contracts or take a dice or tend against. So it was nice to increase the competition. I didn't have anything against it really. I didn't think.
Yeah, is it better at 2? Yes, I think so.
Mm-hmm.
Probably even 3.
Yeah,
it does take a little bit of 4. Knowing that, if you think back of our play at 4, it did go a little long. By round 4, I was pretty much like, okay,
yeah.
this is taking a little bit too long.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that.
Yeah. The table size, what do you think? How much of table real estate does it take?
A lot of chits, big board. We have your own player board, little pieces, but there's no like cards you collect, right? So I'd say a little above average on table size at 4 players.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's fair. It's a board game. It's not a micro game.
Right.
Components, the quality was fine. It has the dice are nice colors and they're chunky dice. They're fun. Well, I guess they're pretty standard, right? They're not anything too crazy.
Yeah, and nothing here is crazy. It's a euro. It's basic. Maybe with the board doesn't look dry or anything like that. It doesn't look like a beige, but nothing. I mean, you got the cardboard, the standard cardboard shits, and there's nothing here that's like, oh, that was a nice component.
Yeah.
I didn't see it at least.
Nothing to write home about. The price and value. So this Snick is something you bought.
Yeah, I can't remember how much I paid for it. It's probably around the 40 range, I would imagine. This is, you can kind of tie this like category with replayability. If you play it enough,
The value of it, yeah.
If you get enough hours out of it. So in this case, I'm going to give it a pro because of the replayability.
Yeah, I think it does have value for when you think of how it adds to our collection. I think that it's unique in its own way to justify.
It's a game we're going to come back to.
Yeah.
So that's what really matters for value to me.
Yeah. The setup time. So this one,
It's
chits. Chits, you got to set that up. You got to get the dice out. Depending on your player count, how many you're going to play with. Each round, you have to pull out 14 dice. When we were playing with 4, so we were pulling out dice.
Yeah, the setup time's not good because you have those things and they come out. They fill up the board. Those cardboard pieces where you go over the different towns and reveal them.
Yeah, finding the cathedrals and matching them up and stacking them in descending order. Right.
Yeah. Setup is a negative.
Mm-hmm. I would say so. The game length. So the box says 60 to 100 minutes. No, not at 4. But is that per player? Maybe it's per player.
No, I don't think so. I think that's what they're saying.
Well,
at 4, no, probably a little longer, especially if you got to teach.
Yeah, I thought that the game length is fine at 2.
Yeah.
But 4, starts to get a little dicey, especially with teaching it. The complexity.
So. I feel like the teach went well. So I'm trying to think. The complexity, I think, is fair for a T game. I don't think it's overly heavy. I think it's right average maybe for this series.
I think the complexity is wanting to streamline as much as you can your action and do the most, like, and be the most efficient you can be with what you're taking, and trying to preserve the amount of resources you have to fill orders in the future, or trying to be forward thinking. So I think that I was able to learn this game on the cruise on an off night for me where I was a little bit tired. I still understood the game. I never sat there like,
You know
what?
what? Now that I think about it, I was saying this is average. I think this is actually below average for this series because can't think of one that's heavier, or sorry, one that's lighter than this one. So
Of
this might be
them.
the lightest
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, I mean, it's things are symbolized, I think, very well in the game. You understand, like, a wagon moving forward is different than you can already look and kind of tell, okay, this wagon moving forward is moving as opposed to this wagon is dropping one on where you want to. Like, or you can just tell right away, like, oh, that city doesn't even have a place to put a house. Like, there's things that are just symbolized, I think, well,
Yeah.
to help
I think
mitigate
this might
it.
be a good entry point for somebody who wants to try a T game
Yeah.
because it is. I feel like this is probably the easiest one to teach and learn.
Is it fun?
Yeah, it's fun.
It's fun.
Yeah, I think so. I think I like all the T games that I've played. I've only not played one, I think. Um, this one is right in the mix. I mean, it's right in there. It fits the genre. It's a nice fit. I can't really say much more. It's nothing it's not over the top, like way better. It's not a lot worse. It just fits the series. So it's going to be, a good score for me when it comes time to score. It's a fun game.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of fun. I enjoy making interesting decisions. I like the replayability of it. I enjoy drafting dice. I always enjoy that. I like the tension of, are they going to take that dice? What are they going to do? And upgrading actions. That's cool too. I think it's score time.
Go ahead.
My score for this is an 8.5. Have a lot of fun. Enjoy it. One thing I want to say that I didn't say about the components, those dice don't really match the colors of those chits so well. To me, it's not. I got confused when we first started playing it, so I wanted to say that and I forgot to. So
Good point. I forgot about it too.
One thing that just kind of irks me.
It's not even disputable. The color for all those the yarn looking stuff, and the anvil, and just those gray blues, it doesn't work. And there's the brick, which is the best one of the three.
Yeah.
But the yarn and the anvil or iron or whatever
And
it
the
might
sheep,
be.
yeah.
Yeah, those color choices were rough. I mean, you could just put white. How about you just do white for the
The sheep?
Yeah, the yarn looking stuff,
Yeah.
whatever it is. That is something you should ding because the components there, we didn't mention it. That's an issue. Who chose those? Who greenlighted that?
Reveal yourself.
I don't know what they were thinking.
Just kidding.
Just to make it an obstacle. I don't know. Anyway,
Yeah. What's your score, boy?
I'm gonna give it an 8.3.
Oh.
So, it might be the lowest score of the T games, but it's still worthy of the collection because the T games are so good, and I don't want to miss out on this one. And I'll pick it occasionally. I like it. I like what I'm doing. I like the dice drafting so much. The dice drafting is awesome. I love the idea of getting resources and getting actions, and you can easily distinguish what you're doing in those turns.
Yeah.
It's something gratifying about that.
Yeah, I like that. I like the challenge of trying to get a score every festival, hoping that you can be part of that festival and participate because you've done the right thing to get to that town within the 3 dice actions you have. That's a nice tension. Are they gonna take my dice one?
Yeah.
Am I gonna get to the place I need to be to even score the stuff I've done?
Yeah, the most rewarding things are getting the actions themselves, picking the dice and doing all that, and then coming up with ways to accomplish things that are outside the box.
Yeah.
If I had this chip, I can move here 3 spaces and get to that festival. You're trying to get to that. You're trying to do all these different things. Like, if I spend 6 food, I can do this. Without even being there, I can spend 6 food and just put this crest down.
Yeah.
And bam, I accomplished. I zoomed across the map or whatever.
Right. So I think for all the reasons that we presented, I would go ahead and say that this is a great game for somebody who wants to maybe try their hand, like Nick said, at a T game, or try a more complex game. Step up from a game that they were doing that was more of a lighter style of game, and get into those games that have symbology, that have that dice element, that really, dice games are fun. I love dice games.
Yeah.
Well, thanks so much for joining us. We hope you enjoyed the review. If you did, please click the thumbs up, and subscribe for more great reviews. We'll see you next time.
See ya.
Bye.